The Dybbuk box, a wine cabinet said to hold a demon. It looks harmless, a small wooden box. But Jewish folklore says it holds a Dybbuk, an evil spirit, a restless soul that clings to the living. In 2001, antiques dealer Kevin Manis bought it at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. Almost immediately, things went wrong. Nightmares, shadow figures, sudden sickness. He tried gifting it to others, but every new owner told the same story. Hair falling out, unexplained bruises, horrific night terrors. Even sold on eBay. Buyers begged to return it. In 2018, Post Malone touched it at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. Weeks later, his jet nearly crashed. His car was wrecked. His home was robbed. Coincidence? Or the Dybbuk still reaching out from inside the box? The Hope Diamond, a jewel soaked in blood. It began in the 1600s. French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier stole a rare blue diamond from a Hindu idol in India. Soon after, he was torn apart by wild dogs. In 1668, the diamond passed to King Louis XIV of France. He and Marie Antoinette wore it proudly. Both lost their heads to the guillotine. The stone resurfaced in the 1800s. A French princess died in agony. A London jeweler took his own life. In 1911, American heiress Evelyn Walsh McLean bought it. She lost her fortune. Her husband went insane. Her daughter overdosed. One by one, the curse claimed its victims. Today, the Hope Diamond sits in the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, Washington, D.C., safe behind glass. But history whispers, beauty that bright is always paid for in blood. The Black Orlov Diamond, the Eye of Brahma, a diamond, black as night. 67 carats of brilliance. Legend says it was stolen from the eye of a Hindu idol, the Eye of Brahma. And from that moment, the curse began. The first owner? A Russian princess. She leapt to her death in Rome. Another princess, the same fate. Even jewelers who touched it whispered of madness and misfortune. By the 1930s, the stone was cut into smaller pieces in a desperate attempt to break the curse. Today, the Black Orlov Diamond sits in the American Museum of Natural History, New York City, safe behind glass. But an eye once stolen from a god never forgets. The Busby Stoop Chair, the chair that kills. In 1702, Thomas Busby was executed in North Yorkshire, England. His crime, murdering his own father-in-law. Before his hanging, Busby cursed his favorite chair. He swore anyone who sat in it would die. For centuries, locals whispered the curse was real. During World War II, airmen who dared sit in the chair never returned from missions. In the 1960s, a builder sat in it. Hours later, he fell to his death. A delivery man tested it. That very day, his truck crashed. So many deaths piled up. The pub owner finally donated the chair to the Thirsk Museum in 1972. But not just anywhere. They bolted it to the wall, high above the floor, so no one could ever sit in it again. And yet, people still whisper, the curse is waiting for the next fool brave enough to take a seat. The Terracotta Army Tomb, cursed for disturbing the emperor's rest. In 1974, farmers digging a well in Xi'an, China, made a shocking discovery. Life-sized clay soldiers, thousands of them. They had stumbled upon the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, buried in 210 BC. But the find came with a curse. The farmers who uncovered the tomb, most lost everything. One was crushed in a collapse. Others died poor, despite changing world history forever. Even archaeologists whispered the tomb was dangerous. Ancient records warned of rivers of mercury, deadly traps, and eternal curses against intruders. And to this day, the emperor's burial chamber remains sealed, not because they can't open it, but because they fear what waits inside, a curse or the wrath of history waiting to be unleashed. The Crying Boy painting, a picture that survives every fire. In the 1980s, a strange pattern emerged in England. House after house caught fire, but in the ashes, one thing always survived. A cheap print of a boy, tears streaming down his face. The Crying Boy. Firefighters swore they kept finding it. Walls burned, furniture destroyed, the painting almost untouched. Rumors spread fast. People said it was cursed. Owning it would invite disaster. Some claimed the boy in the painting was an orphan, abused, blamed for every fire. his spirit trapped on canvas, seeking revenge. Newspapers urged owners to burn the prints. Many refused, afraid destroying it would unleash something worse. Coincidence? Or a curse smiling through the flames? The Delhi Purple Sapphire, a gem that brings ruin. It isn't purple. It isn't even a sapphire, but its curse? Very real. The stone was stolen from a Hindu temple in Kanpur, India, during the 1857 rebellion. The British soldier who took it lost his fortune. His health collapsed. His family fell apart. It passed to others. Each met disaster, suicide, bankruptcy, tragedy. By the early 1900s, it belonged to Edward Heron Allen, a scientist in London. So convinced it was cursed, he locked it in 7 boxes, sealed them with good luck charms, and gave it to a bank with strict instructions. Never open it until after his death. Today, the Delhi Purple Sapphire rests in the Natural History Museum, London. Safe behind glass, untouchable. But legend warns, anyone who dares to own it owns their own destruction. Annabelle the doll, a toy said to hold a spirit. It looks harmless, a raggedy old doll with button eyes. But in the 1970s, 2 roommates in Connecticut swore it was alive. They said it moved on its own. It left notes scribbled in crayon. Help me. A psychic warned them. The doll carried the spirit of a dead girl, but soon things turned darker. Scratch marks appeared on one roommate's chest. The doll was found standing in different rooms, waiting. The case drew the attention of Ed and Lorraine Warren, famed paranormal investigators. They declared it wasn't a child's spirit, but something demonic. Today, Annabelle sits locked in a glass case at the Warrens' Occult Museum in Connecticut. A sign hangs below, warning, do not open. But visitors whisper, even behind glass, Annabelle is still watching. The hands resist him painting, the eBay haunted painting. It looks like art, but many call it the most haunted painting in the world. Painted in 1972 by Bill Stoneham, it shows a boy standing beside a creepy doll. Behind them, dozens of ghostly hands press against the glass. For years it quietly changed owners, but in 2000 it appeared on eBay with a terrifying description. The seller claimed the figures moved at night. The boy would step out of the frame. The doll would threaten anyone who stared too long. Photos showed the child's expression changing. Some viewers said just seeing it made them sick, faint, or fill with dread. The listing went viral. Thousands followed the auction. Eventually, the painting sold, but the legend only grew. Today, it sits locked away in a gallery in Michigan. Not on display, not for public view. Some say it's safer that way. The Koh-i-Noor diamond, a jewel of kings and their downfall. One of the largest diamonds ever found. Over 100 carats when first discovered in India centuries ago. But its beauty came with blood. Every ruler who owned it seemed doomed. The Mughal emperors fought over it. Persian king Nader Shah stole it in 1739. Soon after, he was assassinated. It passed to Afghan rulers. They lost their empire. In the 1800s, the British East India Company seized it from a child Maharaja. They cut it down to 105 carats and gave it to Queen Victoria. Since then, the stone has been kept in the crown jewels. But here's the legend. Every man who wears it will fall. Only women of the royal family dare touch it now. Today it sits in the Tower of London, dazzling in the Queen Mother's crown. But its past whispers a warning. Glory fades, empires fall, and the Koh-i-Noor remains. The Myrtles Plantation Mirror, a mirror that traps souls. The Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana is called one of the most haunted houses in America. And its most feared object? A mirror. Legend says in the 1800s, a slave woman named Chloe poisoned the family of Judge Clark Woodruff. The spirits of his wife and 2 daughters were never properly released, and instead trapped inside this mirror. Visitors swear they've seen handprints appear on the glass, faces of children, dark silhouettes staring back. No matter how many times it's cleaned, the stains remain, like something clawing to get out. Even today, tourists snap photos. Some claim to capture ghostly figures inside the frame. A mirror is supposed to reflect life, but at Myrtle's Plantation, it may just be holding on to death. Ötzi's Iceman's Curse, a 5,000-year-old mummy that kills. In 1991, hikers in the Italian Alps discovered a frozen body. Not just any body, a 5,000-year-old mummy, nicknamed Ötzi the Iceman. At first, it was the discovery of a lifetime, but soon, the deaths began. The forensic pathologist who examined Ötzi died in a car crash. The mountain guide who found him died in an avalanche. A journalist who filmed the recovery was killed in a car accident. Even a researcher who studied his DNA dropped dead suddenly. By the 2000s, at least 7 people connected to Ötzi's discovery were dead. Each one sudden, each one violent. Locals whispered it was a curse, a 5,000-year-old spirit striking back at anyone who disturbed him. Today, Ötzi lies behind glass at the South Tyrol Museum in Italy, safe for visitors. But for those who got too close, the Iceman wasn't so forgiving. The Bassano vase, the wedding gift of death. 15th century, Italy. A young bride receives a silver vase as a wedding gift. The very night before her wedding, she's found dead. Vase still in her hands. Her family passed it down, but tragedy followed every new owner. Sudden deaths, illness, violence. By the 1980s, the vase resurfaced with a note inside. Beware, this vase brings death. Auctioned off for thousands of dollars. Each new buyer died within weeks. Terrified authorities seized it, but instead of displaying it, they supposedly buried it in concrete. Location never revealed. Some say the Bassano vase is still out there, waiting to be unearthed again. Robert the Doll, a doll that watches you. 1904, Key West, Florida. A boy named Robert Eugene Otto was given a life-sized doll by a Bahamian servant. But this wasn't just a toy. Neighbors swore they saw it move from window to window. The Ottos heard footsteps, giggles, whispering from the doll itself. Young Robert blamed everything on it. Robert did it. Over the decades, stories grew darker. Visitors claimed the doll's expression changed. Some said it blinked. Others heard it laugh. Today, Robert the Doll sits in a museum in Key West. But beware, if you take his picture without asking permission, bad luck follows. Accidents, illness, even death. That's why his glass case is surrounded by letters. Hundreds of apologies from those who mocked him. Robert doesn't forgive easily. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.